Hello, I'm Peter Cotton at the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston. We designed a new endoscopy unit here in this building about 5 years ago. I'd like to show it to you. I've had the pleasure of being partnered with Phyllis Malpas, our superb nurse manager. Phyllis is currently president of the American Society for Gastrointestinal Nurses and Associates. This is a floor plan of the main procedure area in this building on the second floor, and includes both the clinic and the endoscopy facilities. There are in fact 9 endoscopy rooms, 4 of them complex like ERCP, US and complex therapeutics, and 5 standard rooms for basically for uppers and colons. These are served by 2 separate prep recovery areas, one on the right for the walk-in trade, basically the ones going for standard procedures, the one on the left for the more complex procedures, many of whom are inpatients, and they come from the elevators opposite. Obviously the outpatients come from the waiting area. It may seem odd to have 2 prep recovery areas, but we think it important, if possible, to separate the different clientele. There's a pretty sophisticated scope reprocessing area and storage area, and then a seminar room which is linked to 4 of the procedure rooms for teaching and conferences. The clinic is at the far end, regular examination rooms, and then there are some rooms for other procedures such as motility studies, function studies, and capsule endoscopy. And finally at the end there's a very nice break room for our staff. Let me show you some of those areas. Patients come to the waiting area, not too many there at the moment because we're recording this very early in the morning, and accompanied into the prep recovery bay. The bays are big enough to accommodate the patient on the stretcher, the nurse, any accompanying person, and all the equipment that we need. They're separated by walls for privacy, but with curtains that can be pulled across. Patients are taken into the procedure rooms on the stretchers that are used for the examinations. Fairly standard endoscopy rooms, about 300 square feet. Most of the equipment is on booms, so there are not so many trailing wires. The RCP room is bigger, obviously with X-ray equipment and full anesthesia. The room for endoscopic ultrasound is also pretty sophisticated, also mainly done under anesthesia. And in the corner there is a communication area for cytopathology so that the images can be sent to the cytology lab. There's a seminar room. Here we see Phyllis talking to her staff, the room that we use for conferences. There's a sophisticated instrument reprocessing area starting on the dirty side where scopes are cleaned and then put into a variety of reprocessing machines. And then the clean scopes are hung next door where we also store the emergency cart. And there's a nice break room at the end for the staff. If anyone's interested in more details about endoscopy unit design and indeed management, I would refer you to another book of mine called Advanced Digestive Endoscopy Practice and Safety that was published about 5 years ago now, but it's still current. And I'd be happy to correspond by email with anyone. Perhaps I could also mention my memoirs, The Tunnel at the End of the Light, My Endoscopic Journey in 6 Decades.